In this tutorial, we're going to show you how to make a Google Cardboard and a Gear VR compatible camera that works with both of them. So on the Gear VR, it'll just work, and you touch the touchpad, the click will work, and same thing on the Cardboard. It'll just work, and you'll click the button, and you can make a game, and it will work for both Gear VR and Cardboard. If you want to do it the easy way, click the link right down here in the description. Go to the asset store. You can buy it for $5. Support me as the developer. I really appreciate that. But if you're like me and just need some help for free, let's do the tutorial. So here we go. Well, I'm going to start with the plane so that we have something on the ground. There we go, 0, 0, 0. Next thing we're going to make is a 3D object, which is a cube. And I think a good position for this is probably 2 and 5. Perfect. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is get this, well, we need to delete the main camera. But before we delete the main camera, we need to bring in the Google Cardboard SDK. Download the SDK. The current version as of this video is 0.6. I have that package right here. Let's import this. And because we are not developing at the moment for iOS, I'm going to uncheck that. And I'm also using Unity 5, so I don't need the legacy folder. Save a little bit of time on the import. Another thing that we need to do, because we're building for Android, is change the, go to the build settings, set the platform to Android, change it to OpenGL 3.0 texture compression. And here we go. The Google Cardboard comes with a prefab called Cardboard Main. Bring this into the scene. Now we can delete the main camera completely. So we're only going to be working with the Cardboard Main object. I'm going to bring it up to a Y value of 1.5. Here we go. So we just have that, the plane, and the cube. The next thing we're going to do is we need to add a physics raycaster to the camera. So to get the gaze input to work correctly, you need to have a physics raycaster. If you're not using the gaze input and you're just using the camera, you don't need this. You can look around without it. But this will make the input and the button click on things. So we got the physics raycaster added onto there. The other part that we need, if we look in the prefabs UI folder, there's Cardboard Reticle. And if you move the reticle onto the main camera, it'll be the third child there underneath of the left and the right eye. If we press play, we have a pointer, and we can look around if we hold down the Alt button on the keyboard. But we can't select anything, and it doesn't show a sky. So if we go back to the main camera, change the clear flags to skybox, now we're going to see that the sky works. And I'm going to save the scene. The next thing we're going to have to add is an event system. So go to UI, event system. And Google Cardboard comes with a gaze input module. So add the gaze input module, click the gear icon, and then say move up. That gaze input module needs to be above standalone input module, or you're going to see funny things happen in the editor when you're testing things out. So we added the gaze input module, moving it up one, and now we're pretty much ready to interact with objects. You're going to notice that this already has a box collider on it. So if I add a component, which is a event trigger, and I say, for example, pointer enter, which is when the mouse, or in this example, the reticle enters into the collider, something will happen, So I'm just going to say on the cube itself, let's take the mesh renderer and change the material. And it needs me to put a material in there. So I'm just going to go to the root of my assets folder and I'm going to say create a material, and I'm going to call this one red. And of course for red, I'm going to pick a nice red color here. I'm just going to use Control D to duplicate that and F2 to rename, and I'm going to put green in there. And as well, we got to pick a nice green color. So when the mouse or the reticle, the center of the gaze, enters into the cube, I want it to change the material to red. And I'm going to add a new event type, which is pointer exit. And when the pointer exits, I want it to change the material to green. Let's test it out, guys. Oh, it's working. Now the reason this is working is because we've added the physics raycaster to the main camera. The cardboard reticle is here as a child. And on the cube, it has a box collider and the event trigger, and we have the pointer enter, the pointer exit events. And that all communicates back to the event system we added through the gaze input module. And we say when you enter, change it to green. When you exit, change it to red. Cool. So this is working really good. We also want to do something when the pointer clicks or when the pointer goes down. Because I'm developed for cardboard, sometimes I like to use pointer down. But pointer click is essentially the same thing. A click is a down and an up. And so you also have access to just the down or just the up. I'm going to use just the down here. And we're going to say on pointer down. Let's take the game object and say set active. This is true and this is false. So it says set active false. If I run the game, I look at a box and I click on it, it disappears. It's still here, but it has been set to false. So that's working really good. I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate the cube 4 times. And I got 4 cubes I can interact with now. Excellent. How do we make it work for Gear VR as well? All I've done here is make a cardboard scene. So this is where an editor script comes in. I'm going to create a new folder, and it's called editor with a capital E. Inside of this folder, I'm going to create a new C# script, and the name of the script is VR build settings. Let's open the script up and take a look at it. It's going to be empty. So, because it's an editor script, we're not going to use mono behavior, so we don't need those functions. And we need to tell it that it's going to be using the Unity engine and the Unity editor. I want to put a new menu item at the top of the screen, right up here. So I'm going to put this bracket. I'm going to say menu item. And you can see here I need an item name, which I'm going to call VR build settings. And I want a sub menu button in there called build gear VR. When that button is pressed, I want to do a static void build gear VR settings, which is a function which is going to do a few things. The first thing it's going to do is it's going to say player settings dot virtual reality supported is equal to true. And what that does is it goes into the player settings and it sets this button virtual reality supported, which makes it work for the Gear VR. The next thing we're going to do is we need to find the cardboard object. So I'm going to say cardboard. I'm just going to call it cardboard with a lowercase. We're going to do a game object.find. A game object. Whoops. Find the game object with the tag. And in my case, we're just going to use player. And then we're going to get the component cardboard. And what this is doing is it's finding the cardboard and populating it into this far for the game object that's tagged player. Because we're making a Google Cardboard, because we're making a VR scene, I'm going to tag this main object as player. And I'm going to rename this. It's no longer cardboard main, it's VR main. So VR main is tagged as player. The script should find that. And find the cardboard script on that. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do here is the cardboard head script. And again, I'm just going to use the lowercase c. And the cardboard head is actually the child 0 of the cardboard. You can see it's right here. So I'm just going to use that. And I'm going to say the cardboard.gameObject and get the transform, get child 0, and get the component on there called cardboard head. Okay, so that just says, hey, we need a cardboard head script. Go out to the cardboard object we found, get its game object, go to child 0, and get the cardboard head script. Cool. The next thing that happens is we need to set the VR mode to false for Google Cardboard. So we already have the Google Cardboard script, and we're going to say VR mode enabled is equal to false. Why are we disabling VR mode? I thought we're making a VR game. Well, it just so happens that when you play on Google Cardboard, it splits the screen for you, as you can see in the editor. But the way Unity Gear VR works is that it takes a full camera, and when you go into the player settings and you click the virtual reality supported, it takes that main camera and it splits it up for you. So when we build for Google Cardboard, we don't check that, and when we build for Gear VR, we need to check that. And so what happens is Google Cardboard has this mode on it right here called VR mode. And of course, you're thinking, well, yeah, we need VR mode enabled, but if you turn it off, it goes full screen. And you can see the VR mode is disabled. So if I enable the virtual reality supported in the build settings and I build it with this camera, then it'll get split up into 2 cameras on the Gear VR. So when we're building for the Gear VR, we want to disable VR mode on the cardboard main, so the cardboard is just using a full screen camera. We also need to tell the cardboard head, not that one, but this one, that track position is false. And the same thing goes for the rotation. track rotation is false. And the reason is the same as before. If you look at the cardboard head, it has a track rotation and a track position. If we build with the virtual reality supported option, that automatically tracks the position and the rotation. So, the rotation anyways. So, we need to tell cardboard to not track those and to just hold still with the full screen camera, because the virtual reality supported option is going to take care of the rest. The next option that the next thing we got to do in the code here is it seems kind of funny, but we got to say editor utility dot set dirty cardboard. And the reason why is because if you don't do this, the options actually don't update on the cardboard. So these options right here, to force those to update so that it works, you need to do an editor utility dot set dirty on the cardboard and the cardboard head. Luckily, we're almost done, because if we duplicate this and we call it build cardboard and we do the same thing here. So when we're building for cardboard, the virtual reality supported option needs to be set to false. We still need to find the cardboard and the cardboard head, and we need to turn virtual reality supported mode on. We need to tell it to start tracking the position and the rotation. And then we need to set dirty to force those options to save. This script is complete. I'm going to pause for a second right here if you want to look over it and copy the code for yourself. This code is not available anywhere on Pastebin or anywhere else except for in the Unity Asset Store. So this is the only place you can get it. Alright, you guys, moving on. Let's see what happens when we go back into Unity. The VR build settings option pops up here, and we have the build gear VR and the build cardboard setting. If I click build gear VR, it turns off the position and the rotation, and it tells the cardboard that VR mode enabled is off. And if I look into the player settings, the virtual reality supported mode has been turned on. And if I build for cardboard, and you have to, you don't see it immediately, you have to scroll to get this window to update. But the virtual reality support mode has been turned off. The VR main is now enabled on the cardboard, and the head is tracking position and rotation. So let's see what happens when we build this. If we go to build settings, we need to do a couple of things. For one, we'll put it to landscape left, and we can use multi-threaded rendering, and I'll put my own bundle identifier in. So I'm going to say in your face games, and this is a cardboard gear VR test, and 16 is okay. I'm going to set it to ARM7 since I'm not building for Intel processors, and turn off the Android TV compatibility. Alright, we're ready to build. I'm going to add the scene, and here we go. Build and run. Okay, here we go. It's built and running. And I'm not sure if I can, how much I can show you in the camera, but it is working here. And so when I look at the box, it turned from green to red, and when I looked away, it turned back to green, and when I let me use my cardboard button on it. I got my cardboard viewer, and I'm gonna test this thing out. Look at the box, I click, and it disappears. So the gate, all the pointer, enter, pointer, exit, pointer down functions are working. Let's build this thing for. So to build for Gear VR, one extra step you're gonna have to do is add your Oculus signature file into a folder called plugins. I already had it because of the Google Cardboard SDK. Go into the Android folder, create a new folder here, or see if one's already there, called assets. And in the assets folder, you need to get your Oculus signature file. If you've never done that before, you just need to say Oculus signature file, and you can generate that on their website under the tools website. You put in your device ID right there, and then you download the file. I've already done that with my phone, and it's right here. So I'm going to bring that into Unity, into the plugins Android assets folder. And other than that, you only have to do that once, of course. And then to switch between Cardboard and Gear VR, you just click Gear VR. And now we're going to go to the build settings and click build and run. Okay, now that it's built for Gear VR, it says insert it into the device. I'm going to put it in, take a look, and let's see what happens. Everything's perfect. I look at the box, it turns red. I look away, it's back to green. I touch the Gear VR touchpad, and the box disappears. Amazing, guys. Really cool way to make Gear VR and Google Cardboard work from the ground up in your VR project. I hope this helps you. If it does, give it a like, give it a comment, subscribe, tell your friends, and somebody else who doesn't make VR games yet. Thanks for watching. See you guys soon.